Should you get divorced from your partner and should you disregard decades, years-long marriage just because your partner is having a hard time adjusting to this new empowered version of you? My name is Anna, and I'm an empowerment coach for ambitious women who are considering divorce and separation from their long-term partner. And my intention with this video is to help you apply nuance to your circumstances, to drown out the noise from online noise that keeps telling you, oh, you should leave him, or you should try more, or you do this, or you do that. And to help you apply nuances to your situation, to your circumstances, but also to distinguish when it comes to the challenges that you're currently experiencing, to distinguish where your responsibility ends and where his responsibility starts, so that you don't find yourself taking on responsibility of doing things that are his to do, where he needs to do his own inner work. So you've done your inner work. You've been working on yourself. You've been doing the self-development. Your identity has shifted massively from who you were when you entered the marriage and who you are right now at this stage of life. And you're finding that your partner is sometimes having a hard time reconciling with who you are and accepting this new version of you, and kind of finding it challenging, as if he does no longer recognize you, who you are. And if you go, like a lot of women who have been in the self-development industry will know this kind of struggle. They would have found themselves in this dilemma, not knowing how to deal with those situations. And it would be easy of anyone to say, oh, just leave it to him. It's his job. He needs to do his own work, which I do agree to an extent. Or you might find online advice of people who are going to say, oh, just dump him. If he cannot accept you for who you are, just dump his ass. And I know we need to apply nuance in here, because is it worth disregarding decades-long marriage where he has probably supported you in every other way? Now you're going to say, oh, you're no longer good to me, bye. I don't think so. I believe we need to give people the grace. Now, you will find yourself drowned with so many other people's opinions. Everyone will have their opinion. Your family probably won't understand why is something a problem all of a sudden for you when it wasn't before. Your friends will probably tell you, oh, just dump him or just do this. But because they're your friends, they're not objective. They cannot tell you what to do, because they will want what's best for you, and they think they know what's best for you, oftentimes based on their own personal experiences, based on their personal experiences with men and past relationships and anything that they haven't healed from within. And their advice will be kind of skewed towards, you will depend on who is giving you advice. And I want to help give you nuance in here so that you can make distinction. Where does your responsibility end? Now, I just want to kind of acknowledge what your partner might be going in this situation at this moment in time. He's probably battling his ego. He's probably questioning his worth in this relationship, because you've become this new woman that is different from when you got together. Your identity has changed. The way you approach things, your boundaries are different. And he's probably questioning his worth. He's probably questioning whether he still has space in your life now that you have changed. He's probably he's questioning his worthiness as a man, probably questioning his masculinity. Well, if she no longer needs me, who am I as a man? What does she need me for if I can't do all of these things for her? He is questioning his purpose, probably, because all of his life, he has seen this purpose as being a man, supportive of this and this and that, and he needed, like, you've spent decades, years together with a certain dynamics, and he got used to those certain dynamics. He tied his purpose to those dynamics. And then oftentimes his purpose was tied into what he can do for you, what he can do for the family, for the marriage. And his ego is probably flaring up. He's probably also feeling the fear that you might abandon him, that you might leave him. His identity is probably being shaken. His masculinity is being put into question. Now, the conversation turns here. To which extent it is his responsibility to deal with his own things, with his ego, and to which extent it is your responsibility to, how do you need to behave in this situation, to which extent you need to support him, and what do you need to change or adjust, or how do you need to approach this situation. Now, I do not believe in hyper-independence. I do not believe in this version of relationships that is mostly promoted online, where we cut off anyone who does not meet our standards, and that we do not give people grace, that we, if they are not going to do this with me, they don't no longer belong, cut people out of your life, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe in that, because I think as a community, we have a level of, there's a healthy level of interdependence. We depend on each other, and we have a level of responsibility to our partners, to our friends, to our community, to do our part. And it will require a level of inconvenience. Now, to which extent you're going to inconvenience yourself, that will depend on several factors. And this is the purpose of this video. I want to help you figure out where are your boundaries and what is your responsibility and where is his. So you're not finding yourself overgiving, waiting for too long for things to change, or actually disregarding a healthy relationship, what used to be until this point a healthy relationship that functioned, and disregarding a partner that is actually a really supportive partner. They're just having a hard time adjusting to this new dynamics. Now, I've had this conversation with so many women where they find it kind of difficult, don't know how to address it. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say your partner is finding it really, really hard to adjust to this new identity. His ego has flared up. You're having constant discussions, you're constantly clashing, your new boundaries are really bothering him, he's having a hard time adjusting to that. To which extent is it your responsibility, and like, how do you have that conversation? I think in a healthy relationship, it would be your job, I would say, to communicate and to reassure your partner that you still see value in them, that they still have a purpose in your life, to reassure them and to communicate to them that you do not see them in less than before. And I think that kind of would be the part of your responsibility, and then communicating that to them. But it would be their responsibility to deal with their own inner triggers, to deal with their own, to recognize when he's being triggered, to be coached or go to therapy so that he examines what specifically triggers him around it, so that he works on himself and he knows that when you do this, this, and this, it does not threaten or it does not affect his ego. So that would be his job. His part of responsibility is to learn how to soothe himself, to recognize his triggers, to learn how to deal with those triggers when they come up, how to soothe himself, and to distinguish, to kind of like reframe things for himself. Your job would be to reassure him or communicate to him that that does not impact his worthiness or purpose or masculinity from your perspective. And that's where your kind of responsibility ends. It is not your job to minimize yourself, to shrink yourself, to back up, to give up on your on the way that you communicate, on your boundaries, to go back to your old ways. That is not your job. Your job is to be as you are, the empowered version of you, and leave him the space to support him, to communicate that you are there for him, to be a supportive partner as you would, but leave it up to him to deal with those specific challenges. And that means that he needs to initiate going to a coach or a therapist, not you pushing him to do it, not you telling him you need to do this. No, he needs to be able to initiate it himself or overcome that or handle it on his own. That is part of his job, not yours. Because what I don't want to happen is that you go on and start looking for courses, you start looking for coaches and say, this is what needs to change, this is what's going to help you. No, it is his part, it is his job to start looking for that. And then your part is to figure out how long you're going to wait for things to change. What is your capacity going to be? How much time you're going to give him to make the adjustments, to adjust to this new version of you, to deal with his, to overcome these things. And it will take them time, because you cannot do this in 1 month. At least 3 to 6 months if they're going to work with someone specific on that specific challenge. But it will not be a month time, because that's, let's be honest, unrealistic. Your job is to hold the boundaries. Your job is to communicate. I believe it is also your job as a partner, or your part of the responsibility is to communicate and reassure your partner, because you love them, of course. You love your partner. You want them to kind of follow you on this journey. And you want to make it work. Their job is to deal with their own triggers and to overcome whatever needs to be, whatever they need to process within themselves, so they can match your new energy, so they can support this new identity, this new version of you, this more empowered version of you. For an example, let's say you come up with a new idea for your business, and it is something that is taking you out of your comfort zone, and it is something big, something bigger than what you have ever done before, and your partner is finding it really hard to trust that vision. He's wondering whether it's going to be financially viable, whether it's going to, like, he might be potentially wondering whether you can pull it off. He's worried, his fears are flaring up, because he's not used to that kind of investment. He's not used to that kind of work. He's not used to doing this big moves, and his fears are coming up, and he's telling you, oh, I don't think you should do it, I don't think you should do it. Where is your responsibility, and where is his responsibility when it comes to that? I would say your responsibility as a partner is to communicate to him and to clarify the questions that he might have, because as a spouse, as a joint, as a union, you've been making these decisions together. So of course it impacts his livelihood if something goes wrong. So I would say that those decisions, yes, it is your decision. However, I think you still need to communicate with your partner and reassure them and tell them, show them your plans, give them the information that they need to satisfy their curiosity and to fill up the gaps that they do not have, like fill up the gaps in the knowledge, the information that they do not have, so that you've done your part in communicating what is your goal, how you're planning to make this happen, so that you can establish that trust and they can trust you, that you know what you're doing, because trust is two-way street. You establish trust by communicating and showing that they can trust you, but also they need to do their own. They need to learn to trust you, and they need to do it from within themselves. They have to have that capacity to trust someone. So his responsibility is to have faith and to work on having faith and having trust in you. So if he has trust issues because of his negative past experiences, if he has fears because he's worried certain things will happen, it is his job and his responsibility to work on those fears, to hire a coach or a therapist, to work with someone that addresses those fears so he can reframe it, so those fears are not emphasized and blown out of proportion when such things happen. And he needs to learn to trust, have a bit more trust and faith into things. Even, like if he has trust issues, those are the things that he needs to do. But on your part is also making sure that you are a trustworthy person, that you do what you're going to what you've said you're going to do, that you reassure your partner, that you communicate with your partner, so that he will know you are not making reckless financial decisions or business decisions. So this is how I would approach it, and this is kind of like where most people and where most nuance is missed in the communication when it comes to relationships and these kind of discussions. Of course, as you are doing this and you're having this new identity and you are this new empowered version of yourself, it will take your partner some time to adjust to it. It will involve a lot of uncomfortable conversations, especially if your partner is really like kind of strong-headed. There will be clashes between two of you. There will be uncomfortable conversations, and we welcome those, because I want you to be able to discuss that and to communicate. They are necessary part of the relationships, because you want to work through them so that you can have the foundations of this strong relationship and continue and overcome this challenge. Now, how I work with my clients is that I support them while you're having, I support you while you're having these difficult conversations. I'm in your corner so I can help you stay steady, stay grounded in your decision and confidence in your boundaries, new boundaries, because it is so easy when these difficult conversations happen and you're having kind of like the pressure and the pushback from the other side. It's going to be so easy to go back to the way you used to do things, the way you used to address these things. For an example, from my personal experience, I've grown up as someone who didn't know how to advocate for myself. I didn't know how to speak up for myself. And that kind of made me agreeable. I would always I would advocate for myself, but it would be easy on the occasions that I did advocate for myself, but it would be easy to go back and just say, oh, it's just easier to agree with this other person because like I don't like conflict. I don't like being in this dynamics where we are kind of clashing against each other. But with time, I have learned that to stand my ground and to stand in those moments, stand firm in my decisions, knowing that this is the right for me. And just because we're in this dynamic where disagree, that doesn't mean I have to go back on. It is not easier. Like, I don't have to go back to how things were and just give up and give in to their opinion. So this is what I want for you. I want you to be able to, when you're having those tough conversations with your partner, to be able to stand your ground, to stand firm in your decision, to stand firm in your boundaries, to stand firm in your new identity, in this, the way that you advocate for yourself and what is important for you, so that you don't go back and give up on the things that are important to you just because it is easier, quote unquote, easier to agree than it is to have those difficult conversations. And this is what I want to do for you. This is where I want to support you. And also to help you distinguish to which extent it is, to which extent and to which level you are willing to wait for your partner to, or give them the grace to get on board, to agree with you, how long, what's your capacity to be able to wait for them, what's your bandwidth, whether to distinguish when your partner is actually making genuine effort to change and to adjust, and you could see that they're proactively engaging, proactively doing something, not just on a surface level, but on a deeper level, and making changes to their behaviors and to their ways how they react to their triggers, that they're building their emotional resiliency and maturity, that you can see that they are learning new ways of how to deal with that, versus when it's just superficial, when they're just leading you on. And I want you to be able to recognize when that's actually happening and when they're just postponing and hoping that you, like, giving you just the breadcrumbs of, yes, I'm going to change, I'm changing, I'm doing this, and where it's just like a superficial stuff, versus where you can actually see that they're putting in the effort and noticing the changes. Because there will be men out there. I know that there is this popular discourse online that a lot of times that men are inflexible and that they're very stubborn and they're not going to change, yada, yada, yada. I don't believe that. I believe there are men out there who are willing to step up and do what is necessary to be the match that you need and desire at this stage of life. It is possible. It is just a matter of you recognizing what is your capacity and what is your bandwidth to be able to wait for that. How are you going to recognize the signs that things are shifting and changing, versus that it is just a superficial level of change and postponing. And for you to figure out the nuance, where is your responsibility to support your partner and kind of help them in that process, and where it is their responsibility to do their inner work. So this is what I want to help you with. And if you would like to, if you have further questions, if you are having more dilemmas, if your circumstances are a bit more complicated, if there are other scenarios and aspects that you need to take into account, please do reach out to me. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to help you put the nuance to your circumstances, rather than just kind of listening to everyone's advice, and they don't know your history with your partner. They don't know your relationship, and they don't know your values and what is important to you. So I want to make sure that we're applying all of that as you're making that decision, and that I can support you when you make that decision, whether to go on and wait for your partner and give your partner the chance to change, or it is time for a divorce, and to be there for you as you make that decision, to help you on those times where you're wobbling, when you're considering, when you're doubting yourself whether you made the right decision, and to stay firm in what is actually important for you. So if you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments. Reach out to me, send me a message, and there's also free resources on my channel that you can get. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I would love to support you. Lots of love. Bye.